Welcome to today's video where we dive deep into why certain exercises increase your risk of injury and how you can train smarter to avoid them. You see, too many people sacrifice proper form and long-term spinal health for short-term gains in the gym. Here at Bethesda Spine Posture, we're all about building a foundation for strength and longevity, not just chasing numbers on a barbell. Today, we'll break down some of the most common exercise mistakes and, more importantly, how to correct them to keep you lifting safely and effectively for years to come. Alright, let's talk about the deadlift. It's called the king of lifts for a reason, but it can also be a recipe for disaster if you're not careful. We see it all the time, guys and gals rounding their backs like a question mark, trying to hoist more weight than their body can handle. That rounded back? That's your lumbar spine screaming for mercy. You keep that up, and you're looking at strains, disc herniations, even nerve damage. And it's not just about your back. Pulling on a heavy deadlift with bad form can also wreak havoc on your hamstrings and glutes. Remember, your body craves stability. When you lift with a rounded back, you're essentially turning your hamstrings and glutes off, putting all the stress on your lower back. Not a good look. So, how do you deadlift safely? It all starts with mastering the setup. Hinge at the hips, not your lower back. Engage your lats. Think about bending the bar around your shins. And brace your core like you're about to get punched in the gut. That's your foundation for a safe and effective deadlift. Next up, the squat, another fundamental movement pattern, but one that's often butchered in the gym. Listen, I get it, you want that impressive squat number, but not at the expense of your spine. One of the biggest mistakes I see is folks initiating the squat from their lower back instead of their hips. That's a one-way ticket to compression in your lumbar spine and potential disc issues down the road. And don't even get me started on butt wink. That little tuck under at the bottom of the squat might seem harmless, but it's a sign that your spine is flexing under load. Not good. Over time, this can lead to pain, instability, and even structural damage. So how do you squat safely? Mobility is key. Make sure you have adequate ankle, hip, and thoracic spine mobility to maintain good form throughout the entire movement. Brace your core, keep your chest up, and drive through your heels. And remember, it's better to squat lighter with perfect form than to ego lift and risk injury. Now, let's address the overhead press, specifically the military press. Now, this movement is all about building those strong, boulder shoulders. But here's the thing, too many people turn it into a neck exercise. You know what I'm talking about? Craning your neck forward, trying to muscle that weight up. That, my friends, is a recipe for disaster for your cervical spine. And it's not just your neck that's at risk. Pressing with poor form can also put excessive stress on your shoulders, leading to impingement and even rotator cuff tears. Remember, your shoulder is a complex joint. When you press overhead, you want to make sure your scapula is stable and your rotator cuff muscles are firing properly. So, how do we press safely and effectively? First off, ditch the behind-the-neck presses. Stick to pressing in front, keeping the bar in line with your upper chest. Before you even lift a pound, make sure you have adequate thoracic mobility to get that overhead reach without compensating with your lower back. And for God's sake, brace your core. It's not just about your shoulders, it's about creating a stable base for the entire movement. Now, I know you're eager to get back to lifting, but before you do, let's talk about load and volume. Look, I'm all for pushing your limits, but you gotta be smart about it. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people constantly training to failure, maxing out on every single lift. That's a recipe for burnout and injury. Remember, your body needs time to recover and adapt. When you lift heavy, you're creating microscopic tears in your muscle fibers. It's during the recovery process that your body rebuilds those fibers stronger than before. But if you're constantly pushing to your limit, you're not giving your body a chance to catch up. So, what's the solution? First off, check your ego at the door. Focus on lifting, with perfect form, for 70 to 85% of your 1-rep max. And don't be afraid to implement deload weeks every 4 to 6 weeks. A deload week is where you reduce your training volume and intensity, giving your body a chance to rest and recover. Trust me, a strategic deload week will do wonders for your long-term progress. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're telling me to ditch the deadlifts, squats, and overhead presses? Those are staples. Hold your horses, folks. I'm not saying you have to eliminate these exercises completely. I'm saying you need to be smart about how you approach them. and sometimes that means exploring alternative exercises that might be more joint-friendly. Let's start with the deadlift. If you're dealing with lower back issues, the trap bar deadlift can be a great alternative. It allows for a more neutral spine position and reduces stress on the lower back. Romanian deadlifts, or RDLs, are another fantastic option for strengthening your posterior chain while minimizing stress on your spine. For squats, consider switching to goblet squats, safety bar squats, or even belt squats. These variations can help improve your squat mechanics while reducing stress on your lower back and knees. And when it comes to overhead pressing, landmine presses, dumbbell shoulder presses with a neutral grip, and wall-supported Z presses can all be great alternatives to the traditional military press. Alright, now let's talk about building a bulletproof foundation for injury-free lifting. And it all starts with mobility and stability. You see, when your body can move efficiently through a full range of motion, you're less likely to compensate with poor form and put yourself at risk. One area I see a lot of people lacking in is thoracic spine mobility. That's the upper to middle part of your back. When your thoracic spine is stiff, it can affect your shoulder and neck mobility, which can lead to problems with exercises like squats and overhead presses. So make sure you're incorporating thoracic spine mobility drills into your warm-up routine. Another crucial aspect of injury prevention is hip mobility. Tight hips can lead to all sorts of problems, including lower back pain, knee pain, and even ankle issues. So, make sure you're incorporating hip openers like pigeon pose, frog stretch, and hip flexor stretches into your routine. And don't forget about core stability. Your core muscles act like an internal weightlifting belt, stabilizing your spine and protecting it from injury. Incorporate exercises like planks, side planks, and pull-off presses to strengthen your core. We've talked a lot about training, but now it's time to talk about the other side of the coin: recovery. You see, your body doesn't grow when you're training, it grows when you're recovering. And one of the most important aspects of recovery is sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every night. Sleep is when your body repairs muscle tissue, releases growth hormone, and replenishes energy stores. Next up, hydration. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water throughout the day, especially after your workouts. Water helps regulate body temperature, transport nutrients, and flush out waste products. And don't underestimate the power of nutrition. Focus on eating a balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats. These foods provide your body with the nutrients it needs to recover and rebuild. Finally, don't be afraid to incorporate active recovery techniques like foam rolling, stretching, and light cardio into your routine. These activities can help improve blood flow, reduce muscle soreness, and promote recovery. Remember, incorporating spinal hygiene, movement variability, and rest days into your training philosophy doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. Fitness is a marathon, not a max rep sprint. Build intelligently and you'll be lifting pain-free for life. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tips on smart training.